Welcome back to the fattest episode of the pod, doing 10-minute, hopefully maybe max 15, but we're going to try to keep them short.
Yep.
We're talking about, I think that it doesn't matter if other people are real, and Oscar does, in the sense of like the philosophical zombie
argument
thing.
So let's just, I'll keep it short here. So the preface here is, like, you know that you have an internal experience. When you taste things, when you hear things, when you see things, you have consciousness. You are actually like a real person, right? And it's like the simulation argument that if you see another person, they could be acting as if they have an internal experience, even though they don't, right?
Yeah.
And my argument here is that it matters a lot to me, personally, philosophically, whether or not a person actually feels something, right?
Yeah, whereas I don't. I don't think it actually matters. Like, I think you should treat people the way you would treat people, right, if they were having an experience. Like, I'm not saying you should treat people like they're not. Definitely treat people like they're alive, you know what I mean? And they actually feel the things they feel. And I do, right? But I wouldn't change my behavior that much, and I wouldn't really care that much if I found out that everyone else was fake.
If you knew for a fact that your brother, and your dogs, and every other being had no mind, no internal experience, like...
Like, right now I don't know, right? And I'm pretty sure they do, but...
That's what I'm saying.
Like, but I don't think, like, practically, why would my behavior change just because their behavior won't change? Like, I probably wouldn't even, like, notice, like, even if someone told me that, right? Like, I was asleep, right? In my fucking sleep, God came down. He was like, "Hey, everyone's fake. You're the Messiah."
Yeah.
And then I woke up, and I was like, "Oh, that must be true. That felt really real."
Or it's like provably, just for the sake of argument.
Yeah, for the sake of argument, it's proven that everyone else is fake.
Yeah.
I would go downstairs, and I would like make a tea, and I would like make some toast.
Let me try and provide an example
change.
then. So I would enjoy talking to you a lot less if I knew for a fact that you had no internal experience. If you're just like some AI, you're like a really good Siri that just knows what to say to me, I wouldn't care.
I like talking to Siri.
You know, I'm not saying I would never talk to you again, but it would matter a lot to me that you were not a real person, that you were like, for example, like...
But I would still confer with you because I felt at this point I can trust that the being that you are, even if you don't have any internal experience, the like advice that people give would still be the same.
Yeah, I agree with you.
It would have the same relevance, like it would be based off of their actual intelligence.
Agreed, but like I would no longer prioritize you as in like right now, if a guy, like if you and I were stranded on an island and I wanted to just give up, I would not give up because I care about you. I care about my brother Will, and I would I would put in more effort to save your life than I would put in to save my life, right? As of right now, because I think that you're real, right? And I care about your experience, right?
Yeah.
If I found out for a fact that you're not real, you have no internal experience, suddenly that's not the same at all anymore. I would have to choose me over you because
but that
you're
feels like
fake.
But that doesn't that mean though that you're like waiting. Well, no, you're not, right?
Yeah.
But if the day came where that happened, you in your mind are like mentally prepared to immediately accept that you don't value those people anymore the same way.
How could I not? Like, this is my whole argument here, is that
Because
that
they
would be the
because
only
nothing
logical
about
thing.
them would change.
But I would know for a fact, my experience, the way they talk and the way they move and stuff wouldn't change. But for example, if you were being tortured right now, that would bother me so much. I would really, really care that you're not in pain, right? If you were in pain, it would really, really bother me, and I would care because I believe that your pain is real, and I care that you're feeling pain, right? Whereas if I saw fake Will getting tortured, I don't care about... He's not getting tortured because he can't even feel pain. There's no pain. Like...
Yeah, and I'm not saying you're wrong, but I'm just saying it wouldn't change my behavior. Like, I wouldn't be different. Like...
I feel like
there are people nowadays, right, who think that, like, animals don't have souls, right? And they're wrong, okay? But it doesn't mean, right, that they, like, just go around torturing animals.
Yes, but it means that they wouldn't care if you, like... So I I understand what you're saying, that you could still function in society, right? But it's like how you could function in society as a psychopath. Like if tomorrow I
think
woke
it's
up...
less intense than that.
No, honestly, think about it. If I woke up tomorrow and my empathy went away, like I had a tumor, I go to the doctors and they're like, sorry, you've got a tumor on your empathy part of your brain. And I'm like, I'm a full-on psychopath. Like I look at you, and if you were to be like crying, I want to care, and I know that I should care, but I can't care. I have no empathy left.
Okay.
I would still function in society.
How long is it going? It's bad to ask.
It's only 5 minutes.
Okay. But, no, yeah, it's, I know what you're saying again, but it's that not same.
Your behavior would change, like you wouldn't, for example, you right now would probably kind of want to have kids, right? Like you kind of would.
Yeah, I would still have kids though, even if I knew they were going to be not real.
No, you wouldn't care about them. But the moment it got hard, the moment it was inconvenient for you to care about
I would have less of a tolerance.
But you wouldn't love them. You can't love a fake thing the same way that you can love a real...
People love their computers and shit.
Yeah, but that's like a love the way I love, like, a television. Like, it's not like a love, romantic love, where you, like, care about the other person.
Right,
and, like,
right.
And it's not like child... Like, you care so much about your kids and their internal experience. And if they had none, you wouldn't care, like, at all the same way. Like, you wouldn't even at all care about your kids, probably.
You're probably right.
Yeah.
But, like, I think for the next 10 years, my behavior wouldn't change that much. If God came down and he was like, for the next 10 years, you're going to be by yourself. I'm going to take everyone's souls away for 10 years, and then I'm going to put them all back. I would just act the same.
If you said they were going to put them all back, then I would act the same.
That's true, but it wouldn't change my reaction now. But you're right. That's a slight difference again we have on that.
Yeah. It's just because this goes back to my whole argument that like morals are actually very, very simple. Like a being that can feel pain you should work to not. You should just work for all beings to not have to be suffering. You know what I mean? You should be against suffering.
Yeah.
As a concept.
I'm against suffering, yo.
Yeah, you know what I mean? And that shouldn't...
You're the genius of a generation.
I don't know if we've talked about this on the podcast before, but people don't care about animals as much because they're dumber, which is a very silly morality thing, because if you were to see... Like, if I got brain damage tomorrow and I became much, like, less intelligent, effectively, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Or if you showed me a person who was, like, Down syndrome or something, and they weren't as good at math or whatever fucking dumb thing that apparently makes them dumber, that doesn't at all mean that you should care less about that person, or like that it's somehow not as bad if they're suffering. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like a baby is super dumb, but everyone on earth recognizes that you should never ever hurt a baby. It's like one of the worst things to do. And it's not, like, intelligence shouldn't have anything to do with how much you care about a thing. Like... Yeah.
Let's talk about something we disagree on now.
Oh yeah, alright.
We've got to stop talking about the stuff we agree on.
See, I thought you were arguing before. I thought you were arguing that it didn't matter. Not that you wouldn't...
Well, practically, I don't believe it matters. Like, unless you're in specific scenarios where it matters.
But but I feel like it matters... Internally, wouldn't you care?
It might, like, affect my outlook, but, like, my practical reality
would you
wouldn't
still
change.
come in here and, like, talk to me?
Of course I
would you care, though, if I was, like, if you came in and I was sad one day, would you care?
Yeah, I would still help you figure out how to not be sad.
But if you knew for a fact that I wasn't actually sad, you know what I'm saying?
Why wouldn't I? What else do I have to do? That's a normal thing I would be doing normally. Like, that's already a time slot open.
But, like, if I was like, I'm hungry, can I have the last steak? And you know for a fact that I can't taste steak and you wanted it. Like,
yeah, well,
you see what I'm saying?
that's all part of my, like, pattern. I would still do that. Like...
I wouldn't...
Plus, I usually cook enough food. I feel like that example is null.
I would tell you to stop caring about me. If you could explain to me that it's been proven that I'm not real, I would be like, why do you care about me? I would argue to you that philosophically I don't matter and you matter. Like...
Yeah, but what else would you have if you knew that everybody was, like, nothing? I feel like you'd go crazy otherwise.
That's exactly what you should do. That's what you should do in that situation, is you should flip the fuck out, because that's ridiculous. Like, I mean...
you might be right.
Like, fear is a pointless emotion, you know what I mean? But you definitely shouldn't, like, act like everything's fine. You know what I mean? Like, you should be wondering, like, what the fuck? You should either be, like, a Buddhist, you know what I mean? Or you should... actively rail against the system or something. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah, alright, try something like that.
yeah, it's like
Think-
Groundhog Day, where you're like trapped in a weird bubble of reality. Like,
Yeah, alright. Taking a quick break. 20 seconds. 8 minutes. 2 minutes. 5 seconds. 30 seconds. He was just trying. He was doing a bunch of hand symbols, and it was like 8, 2. Then he did like a quick snake looking thing, and then he threw a fucking fireball. Like he's got them hand magics.
okay, that is 10 minutes and 40 seconds.
Oh, we did
Yeah,
it.
we did it. We did
Alright,
it.
we're
Okay.
ending it now. Fuck you, bye.
Yep.